The Green Bay Packers still have hope. Their chances of making the playoffs are not dead yet. After this win, Monday Night Football over the Rams, 24-12. Here are my instant thoughts. The hope is still alive. The Packers moving to 6-8. In order to make the playoffs, there was one thing that first needed to happen, and that was the Green Bay Packers winning out. The remainder 4 games on the season after their bye. This is game number 1. There is still a long road ahead of this football team, but it started tonight. It started on Monday Night Football, beating the Rams, and the Rams are not a good football team, but the Packers haven't had much going for them all year. There hasn't been much excitement, so yeah, I'm excited that the Packers finally won. And like I said, although it is the Rams, it's still one step closer to the Packers potentially making the playoffs. They're not mathematically removed from playoff contention. Like I said, it's kind of out of their control, but they still need to win out. They have the Miami Dolphins next week, which is going to be extremely a hard game on its own, then the Minnesota Vikings, then the Detroit Lions, and a lot of other stuff has to happen. But hey, they won tonight. That was the first step. And honestly, this was a all-around football game. I feel like we haven't had that as Packers fans in a very long time. Was it perfect by any means? No, there was definitely a lot of mistakes on the defense, on the offense, the Aaron Rodgers interception, a lot of penalties, which we saw, and just in general, there was definitely a lot of mistakes. But I feel when it mattered, the defense played well, the offense played well, and the special teams played well. And I feel like this is the first game that it's happened all year. Aaron Rodgers finished this game 22 of 30, so really high percentage, 229 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and a 92.2 rating. I think he completed passes to 8 different wide receivers. Romeo Doubs was the leading wide receiver. What an entrance back. 5 receptions, 55 yards on 5 targets. This is the first time we saw really Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson in their full form together, and they were receiver 1 and receiver 2 in yards. Watson, 4 receptions, 46 yards. Aaron Jones had 4 for 36 and a touchdown. A.J. Dillon, 3 for 35. Randall Cobb, 3 for 32. Mercedes Lewis with 1 reception. Alan Lazard with 1 reception. And Tunyon with 1 reception. As for the running game, it started out very hot. I feel like the offensive line was unstoppable to start the game, but then started to get really weak in the second quarter to third quarter, but did finish it out at the end of the game. Aaron Jones, 17 carries for 90 yards, a 5.3 average. A.J. Dillon, 11 for 36, only a 3.3 average, but those 2 touchdowns. He was a short yardage back, exactly how you should use A.J. Dillon, converted a 4th down, got 2 touchdowns. He did what he needed to do. He did check out with a potential concussion, so we'll keep an eye on that as the week goes on. Patrick Taylor came in, filling in for A.J. Dillon, 4 carries for 15 yards. And then talking about the defense, a lot of people will say, oh, the defense didn't have that hot of a game. The Rams still ran when they wanted to, but at the end of the day, they held them to 12 points. Baker Mayfield really didn't do much, only completed 12 passes on 21 attempts, 111 yards, 5.3 average, had a touchdown, but also an interception. On that interception, Kenny Clark with a really nice pressure. He had a really nice night tonight. Kenny Clark with the pressure. The ball gets pretty much thrown right into Rasul Douglas's hands, who, outside of the interception, Rasul Douglas did not have a good game tonight. He was definitely a weak spot on the defense, and he continued that with the interception return, throwing the ball backwards. I have no idea. I guess he was trying to pull a Patriots. I don't know what he was doing, but definitely shouldn't have done that there. But at least he was right place, right time for the interception, getting the ball back for the Packers. But the Rams did run okay with Cam Akers. I feel like this run defense is still a little bit suspect. Cam Akers, 12 carries, 65 yards, a 5.4 average. No one else in the Rams really ran too well. But the Packers' pass defense, I thought, did excellent. Cam Akers was their leading receiver, 3 for 35. So really the only player that did well on this Rams offense was Cam Akers. Van Jefferson was their leading receiver, 2 receptions for 32 yards. Higbee was probably their best receiving player outside of Cam Akers, 4 receptions for 27 and a touchdown. Tutu Atwell, 1 for 10. Brandon Powell, 1 for 4. And yeah, it would look a lot different if Cooper Kupp was out there, but he's not. I thought the pass defense did excellent tonight. Outside of a few 3rd and longs where the Rams ran a deep stop and Rasul Douglas was really late. Like I said, Rasul Douglas had a tough game, but I don't expect that to continue. He is a good cornerback, just a tough game. But overall, I thought the defense did play well. But if you look at just the box score, Rasul was actually the Packers' leading tackle with 8 total tackles, 7 solo, 1 pass deflection. But I think the player of the night on defense was Quay Walker. I mean, this dude was everywhere tonight, and it's something we haven't really seen consistently from Quay Walker. Him being able to shoot through gaps, stop running lanes, cover running backs in the flat well, which he did. He almost had a pick 6 where Baker threw to the running back in the flat, and it was a little bit of a high ball, and he almost got a hand. I think he did get a hand on it, but if it was a little bit lower, I think Quay Walker is hitting his head on the goalpost for a pick six. But he was right place, right time a lot of the time tonight. He even had a couple tackles for loss. He had 2 pass deflections. He had a sack. They used him blitzing as a linebacker, which I love to see. I have always wanted to see more of that from Quay Walker. Devondre Campbell, also a pretty solid game. And man, what a game for Keyshawn Nixon. This guy is the real deal as a returner. I feel like we haven't had a solid returner since Micah Hyde circa 2013. And I'm so glad Keyshawn Nixon is a thing on this special teams. And it makes it even more, blasphemous that Amari Rodgers was our returner for so long, because Keyshawn Nixon has been on this roster the entire year. Yeah, sure, you drafted Amari Rodgers in the 3rd round. He was your returner last year. You want to stick by your guy. You drafted him. You like him. You believe in him, but obviously not, because he had, 8 fumbles? He had more fumbles than he did career catches to this point. And I've said time and time again, Amari Rodgers was never a returner. I think he would have excelled on the offense if he was used in the right circumstance. We see him now doing a decent bit on the Texans offense, but just wrong place, wrong time. Packers ended up cutting ties. And then finally, Keyshawn Nixon goes into limelight as a returner, and this dude has been so good. Again, I don't know the last time a team has kicked away from one of our returners. Let me know down in the comments below when's the last time that happened, because I saw the Rams doing it, and then they decided to not do it the next time, and Nixon returns it all the way to the 47-yard line. He should have had 2 kick returns for 50-plus yards, but the first one was called back on holding on John Garvin, which was definitely not holding. The refs were awful tonight for both teams. I feel like there was so much holding, and they weren't calling it, and then they started calling it. And then, of course, that Aaron Jones fumble when it was very clearly forward progress. The Rams were holding a lot all game, and they finally did start to call it, but nonetheless, the refs were very inconsistent tonight, and that's kind of been a running theme around the NFL as of late. But yeah, the Packers are not dead yet. Like I said, moving to 6-8, this football team throughout this year has not been pretty to watch, but that can all change. It's not about how you start the year, it's about how you finish it. It's any given Sunday. I've seen really bad teams make it into the playoffs and win the Super Bowl, at least for a record standpoint. The 2011 Giants come to mind. And although the Packers 2010 team wasn't the same as this team by any means, they had a really good defense, and they only lost their games by 4 points or less every loss. Nonetheless, a lot of the time, a lower seed team can go into the playoffs, get hot at the right time, and make a run. Now, there's a lot to happen between now and then, if that does indeed happen. But if the Packers were to go on a hot streak, win all 4 games, and the right things were to happen around the league, at that point, they would be on a 4-game winning streak, beating the Dolphins, the Rams, the Vikings, and the Lions, and starting hot, going right into wild card weekend. Like I said, a lot has to happen from now and then. I will make a video tomorrow on how the Packers can make it into the playoffs. I've been doing it every week that the Packers are still alive, so be on the lookout for that video. But that about does it for this one. If you are new here and want more Packers news, analysis, and updates, please consider going down, hitting that subscribe button, leaving a like on the video, and also turning on post notifications. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.